Hello, everyone. My name is Raymond Neff. I'm with ESET North America, and today we're going to be talking about vulnerability and patch management. Uh, so, to get vulnerability and patch management, you need at least ESET Protect Complete bundle, and once you have that, that is going to add that in our platform modules. So it's easy to enable. You can see down here, I can auto enable it, and it will enable it for every new computer that joins the console as new computers come in. But pretty much we can click enable, and then it gives us information of how we want to set it up. So we can auto patch applications. So basically, we're scanning all third-party applications, all Windows patching and updates for looking for vulnerabilities. So within a Windows desktop, we do have what we call operating system auto updates that you can turn on too if you want that to patch the Windows updates to fix known vulnerabilities in the environment. Now, with this product, we don't actually auto patch servers in the environment. We can auto patch Mac devices, but we cannot patch, of course, the Mac patches for the OS. We're not able to do that. But for Windows desktops, we can auto patch everything and keep that operating system up to date for you. Down here, I can decide which targets. I just have all devices, so I want this turned on across, all platforms in my environment. Okay, so if I just click enable, it's going to go ahead and apply that license to all endpoints and turn it on. Okay, so this can be done differently. If you want, you can do it by policy. So if I come into my policies, look at my common features policy, I can do a new policy in here. And in the settings, I can go to patch management. So this is where I could enable it. This is if I want to do auto patch. You can see that works for Mac, it works for Linux, and for Windows. So if I want to turn on auto patch, I can. If I want to do the OS auto updates, I can do that for Windows desktop. And then restart options for Macs and desktops. If I wanted to restart after it applies the patch, I can say they cannot postpone and just force it, or just give them 1 hour to postpone it before the machine restarts. If you do it this way, it's a little bit easier to keep track of what's getting patched and what isn't. Because if they can keep postponing it, it's just going to keep showing that vulnerability in the console itself. So I usually like to set like 3 hours on it when I do that. Here's the minimum disk space required for patch management. Okay, that you have to have. This would be the scheduler when you want it to run in your environment. So you could set it up to run daily, or just if you want it to run on Sunday. And then if you want to enforce the patch on the users, because the biggest problem with auto patch, the users don't close the application, they don't restart the machine. So the vulnerabilities just keep sitting there and you can't figure out why they're not getting patched. Okay, so it's good to come in and do that. We do have customization with AutoPatch, so you can exclude applications or only say patch these allowed applications in the environment. Or you could say only allow patches fixing known vulnerabilities. If you want to allow all new patches, even things that don't have a vulnerability, that have a new version, you could tell it to patch those. And then the minimum, if you only want to patch vulnerabilities at a certain score, you're able to do that too. Here's the allowed auto updating. And this is the patching behavior when it's, when it's trying to do the patch. You can prompt before force close, or force close immediately, or don't patch if it's running. So this is what the user will see when it's trying to do the patch on the endpoint itself. Okay. So you can turn this on by policy, but if you turn it on in the policy, you're going to have to activate it. So really what you're going to do is run a task, and then we're going to do a product activation task. If we look up under here, it's going to be module activation, do a new client task, and it's module activation. I do settings. I click this license, and I choose the ESET. The vulnerability and patch management right here. So I would actually activate all those devices. If I go ahead and hit finish, I'll create a trigger. And once I create a trigger, the target, I'm just going to add the target and just use all. And then I'm going to do the vulnerability and patch management and run it as soon as possible. And then that'll activate that patch management the way you set up the policy. If you just want to come in platform modules, it does both of those things for you, but you don't get that granular type of settings that you do actually in the policy to really set it how you want it to be set. Okay. So that's how you get it turned on. Once it starts scanning, of course, all the vulnerabilities come in here. You can see Google in here. I can group it by application name. So I got Google Chrome. There's 56 vulnerabilities on 2 computers. I have Zoom on 1 with 56, and I have VMware tools on 1 in the environment. So I can show the vulnerabilities for VMware tools. If I want to tell it to fix the vulnerabilities from here, I can, and it'll try and patch it. So for servers, they're not going to automatically update. They're going to show you the vulnerability, and when you decide to fix it, you can, of course, when you get time, if it needs to restart, be able to fix that vulnerability in your environment. We can see under patch management the different ones that, and the computer names of what needs to be updated. If you don't have auto patch on, you can tell it to update, or maybe if you wanted to just update right now, while you're watching the machine to make sure it gets updated, you can do that too. But I could tell it to update Google, and it should go ahead and update. You can see that's my domain controller. I probably shouldn't have done that, but anyway, there we go. So that's where we see the patch management. Of course, in reports, you can look under the report. And then down here, we have vulnerability and patch management. You can see the scans. I can see the patch management overview, and maybe something happened. Like for this one, we got a download error because I don't even know if this machine's turned on, but I couldn't actually download the Google Chrome. You can see where it patched Edge, Wireshark in the environment. Sometimes in here, you'll see like the user didn't terminate the program or they didn't restart the machine. So it gives you an idea of, of what's happening and why it didn't patch. Then you could go try and patch it again, like I showed you from the patch management tab on the left. You're able to do that. Another thing about the vulnerabilities, any information you want to know about the vulnerability, you can just click on it. It gives you the link to it. It gives you that risk score of how, the higher it is meaning it's being used in the wild, those types of things. So this is our vulnerability and patch management. I just wanted to show it to you guys, and I appreciate it. And you guys have a good week.